Live from Radio Row, SportsGrid's coverage of Super Bowl 59. Joe Lisi joined by AJ Duffy, health expert in regards to all athletics in terms of college and NFL. AJ, talk to me just briefly about the Super Bowl as a whole, the big game on Sunday. We have two great teams in terms of Kansas City and Philadelphia. What are your thoughts about the game on Sunday?
Well, living in Philly for 35 years, I probably have a slight edge for them. I grew up a Lions fan. I was hoping that they would be here for the first time. But I also have a connection with the Chiefs, and that the Rick Burkhalter is their head athletic trainer, and he was with Andy with the Eagles, and Tom Hunkel, who's the head athletic trainer for the Eagles. And I bring them up because they have two excellent staffs to make sure that both teams are under the best possible care, and that they will be both ready to rock and roll come Sunday.
Absolutely. And you talk about sports performance and treatment. How has it changed over the past 20 or 30 years? Because now you talk about technology, you talk about different types of techniques potentially to get players ready and back for major injury. What have you seen in terms of just your industry as a whole?
It's exploded. I was talking to someone earlier. It's not just at the professional level, because it's obvious it's year-round at the professional level, but even in the lower levels, high school, the small Division III schools that we were talking about. If you're not participating in active year-round, you're setting yourself up for potential issues. So that's what I really see. And I think that the technology is we're able to figure out what the issue is earlier so we get the proper treatment. Right. And that's key.
Right. What is the biggest piece of advice? Because I'm always curious when you have trainers and you talk about just performance as a whole, the biggest piece of advice, because back in the day it was, play multiple sports, yep. Right? Play basketball into potentially baseball and then football. Is that still the case, that athletes that play multiple sports are in better sports performance shape where they have less injuries as opposed to just concentrating on one sport throughout the year?
I think that you have to be very careful about when you concentrate on one sport. You know, if you look at the research and you hear what like Nick Saban says,
right.
You know, most of his players played 2 or 3 sports. So by playing multiple sports in your young days, it gives you the opportunity to adapt to different things. And then as you get older into the high school, then you can start to select it. Hey, you know what? I want to hone in on baseball or football. But the opportunities that you have in youth sports, playing multiple sports, sets you up to be a better athlete, you know, right. Once you finally decide to get to one.
Now, do you speak to multiple teams across, like I know that a lot of athletic trainers or people in the industry go from in the off season about certain types of approach and technique. So are you working across the nation throughout the given year, talking to universities and potential high schools? How does it really work and operate?
You know, I've just started this position as president of the National Athletic Trainers Association, right. Back in July, mm-hmm. And that's my intention, is to get out and have conversations with individuals to tell them what we're all about. So typically when I was at Widener, I would be working with the athletes, multiple teams, making sure that during the off season they were preparing themselves for their next season. And that is even, hey, make sure that you take the common sense and let your body rest, okay, so they can recover and get ready for the next upcoming year.
It's interesting, too, for me, I think when you see the significant injuries that occur, especially in the National Football League, right? The turnaround time where ACL, if you had an ACL injury, used to take back in the day, and when I played, maybe 16, 17 months to recover. Now we're seeing athletes back on the field. I think Cam Akers, you know, for an Achilles, he was back potentially within the same season. Is that just due to the technology and how the athletic trainers just handle the athletes on a given day-to-day?
Well, I think there's a couple things that are critically important here. One, when you're talking about individuals at the professional level, they are highly trained athletes. They've been doing it for many years, and they've got the best care at their disposal, and their job is to get better. And then you take that back to the surgical techniques that are utilized.
Right.
They're much better today than they were years ago. So it's all about having that balance, and that your athletic trainer is working with you, can say, hey, you know what, everything looks good, But there's one thing that you can't change, and that's just the body's healing. You know, when I explain that to someone, I say, how do you like your hamburger?
Medium well.
So how can you tell, right? You've got to open it up. So it's still going to be a little red in there for what you like. And that's the analogy I like to use. Hey, we got to make sure that the body heals appropriately.
Wow. Younger athletes, if there's one piece of advice you can give them to prevent injuries from college to the NFL, anything that they could do or change maybe their approach, what would you recommend?
Common sense.
Common sense.
Common sense. Work within what your body says. Okay. Try to make sure that you're not doing too many things.
Right.
Because you could have a baseball player in the summer play for 3 teams. And if he's a pitcher, yes, there's pitch counts. But if you take those 3 teams and he's doing the pitch count for all 3, he's setting himself up or herself up for failure. So it's common sense. Work within yourself and make sure that you're working with individuals that understand your sport so that they can guide you in the right direction.
I remember there was a survey or there was a test study done like where soccer players had the most concussions, and you would think that it was like hockey and football players. Is that true?
I haven't looked at the latest research, but soccer players do have a high incidence of concussions. When you talk about concussions, the care there has dramatically improved. You know, I'm sure back when you played for the Bullets or the Rams, right? I got my bell rung, and we would even treat them, hey, after 15 minutes, if your sign's gone away, back in there. But now we're much more intentional. The research shows, hey, we need to give them time for their brain to rest, their brain to heal, and then we, again, gradually get them back into activity. And the difference in the college sports is if they go to class and they continue to have headaches, then we got to pull them back because if the brain can't function in class, it means it's not completely healed yet. So conversation, understanding of what it's all about, and making sure that the symptoms you share with your athletic trainer are real will go a long way so that you can get back to the field sooner than later.
Great insight and information from AJ Duffy. Now back after this.